media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day, committed to being your consumer advocate. We want to help you win in your buying decisions, make you more street smart out there, and we'd love for you to call into the hotline. Thanks so much to folks that called in last week. Greatly appreciate that, calling in, finding out more about real estate, credit, finance, estate, and tax planning. So many different types of expert, automobile industry experts, tech experts, self-defense, and more here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Save our hotline number in your phone. At some point, you may need it, 813-917-1894. Just call or text the show hotline, and it's an off-air number, 813-917-1894, and consumerqb.com. You can see links there at consumerqb.com. And we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air. We help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovations with radio, TV, and internet marketing. Also certified negotiation experts to help you negotiate the best deal. We get a property at 14663 Village Glen Drive in Carrollwood. This is a beautiful home, single family property, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, right here in one of the most popular areas in all of Tampa Bay. It's Carrollwood Village. Beautiful property. Pool and kitchen, updated outdoor pool and kitchen. You've got lanai, outdoor shower, jacuzzi tub, sauna, and tanning bed in the master bath. Gourmet style kitchen. Beautiful home here at 14663 Village Glen in Tampa. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1,951 square feet. Great opportunity. And you can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And a quick shout out to our friends at Veteran Gutters. Brandon Porter and his team do a great job over at Veteran Gutters, American-made product. He served our great country, so please frequent his business. And if you're looking to put gutters on your residential properties, commercial properties, Veteran Gutters, Brandon Porter is the guy to talk to. Let him know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got Justin Kelly in the house, President, CEO, CPF Mortgage. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to be a contributor here on the show.
Excellent. Yeah, my pleasure. And let's give a little introduction to CPF Mortgage. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Absolutely. Started at the end of 2007, going into what we now know as, I guess, the Great Recession and mortgage and real estate meltdown at that time.
Yeah.
And so, it was interesting times going through that and learning and growing. But it, put us in a position to really scale and grow over the coming years. And so we were really fortunate to start in that type of environment, I think.
Yeah, it brings people out of their shell, and you go like, hey, how do we succeed in this, right? So if you've heard the stories, right? If you can succeed in that type of an environment, then you're getting everything in there. You're running on tight margins. You're getting all your relationships in place.
Yep.
And so tell us a little bit about the name.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest questions I get, right? What does CPF Mortgage mean? We started off as Christopher Paul Financial, and that's that's where CPF comes from. And Christopher Paul Kelly was my brother, and he served his nation in the Marine Corps and later on in law enforcement. And we lost him very young. And so I thought, he was such a pillar in the community. Everybody loved him. He always tried to give back and serve, whether it be the country and later on in his community. And I thought, there'd be nobody better than to name the company after him. And so we started as Christopher Paul Financial. And, as we gained reputation in the community, 5-star reputation, a lot of people would call and they'd be like, can you invest our money? Can we get a RV loan through you? Can we get, a car loan? And so I started looking at it. I said, maybe we don't have the right message to the community with the name, but I struggled because it's my brother's name. I didn't want to change it. So one night we're sitting there and my wife said, you know what, why don't you just take the acronym and roll with that? And so we did. We made it CPF Mortgage.
There you go.
And that's how that name was born.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. And, a lot of my family served in the military, and, the military, the veterans, by the way, they get such great benefits through, and I think a lot of them don't understand, exactly how their benefits work.
Yeah, they really don't. And that's something that we try to advocate for. Obviously, with my brother and his name and the company, we do a lot of VA loans, and we love helping veterans and helping them understand how to access their benefits with their mortgage, because there are a lot of benefits for veterans out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as realtors, as a top real estate team here in Tampa Bay, my wife Lindsay and I own the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. We're always looking. It's very competitive, right? So let's jump right into the inventory question, right? The inventory level. So, what can you do as a lender to help people prepare for that initial offer, and how can you separate yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great question, right? The environment is extremely competitive right now, and so we started looking at where are the pitfalls of the industry when it comes to buying a home when you need a loan, and the historical the industry as a whole. Historically, you have a conversation with a borrower, right? You pull their credit and you run calculations to see if they can qualify for a home. Right. The problem with that is it leaves a lot of variables open. You got to hope that what you were told is accurate. And so we started looking at it and saying, instead of just taking verbal information, let's structure and put together an entire team up front, and a validation and setup team that reviews all of this the same way an underwriter does. And what that does is it gives a competitive advantage to the buyer, because when you lead with our pre-approval letter, agents know our process, our reputation. They can reference us online, and they know exactly what a person has been through in order to get a pre-qualification letter from us. So we feel that's a definite competitive advantage for every consumer that's coming through our company. And I think it's important in this environment, when you're leading and trying to make an offer on a property, for you to be able to say, hey, we've been vetted thoroughly. And we're always trying to reach out to the listing agent, as the mortgage company, letting them know what our process is and who we are.
Yeah, it's very important that you can understand that and look at almost, because there's a lot of questions. Like, as a real estate agent, when I get multiple offers on properties all the time, and then I'm sorting through them on Sunday night, Monday morning. We're saying, okay, well, I'm asking the real estate agent, the buyer side agent, hey, tell me more about the job. Are they self-employed? Are they W-2? Do they have commission income, bonus income? Because all of that's looked at differently. It is.
And if you're just taking that information verbally up front, especially for a self-employed borrower or somebody that's got variable income, commission, or anything like that, you can't be accurate unless you're getting the data and information, the tax returns, analyzing the self-employed, whether it's a 1120S or 1065, Schedule C income, and you've got to run the proper calculations on that and make sure that you're accurate.
Yeah.
And so that's what our team does up front, and it differentiates us and puts the consumer and the buyer in the driver's seat when they're making offers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Justin T. Kelly. If you just joined us, President, CEO, CPF Mortgage here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and we talk a lot about real estate, mortgage, financing, these types of concerns in the Tampa Bay area, and inventory being tough. Are you getting questions about, is Florida real estate busier than the rest of the country right now?
Absolutely. I mean, it's probably the number one thing that I hear. Statements like, everybody's moving to Florida. The Sunshine State, everybody wants to be here. And, so they feel like, hey, our environment, the housing boom that's happening here is isolated to Florida. So I did some research, pretty interesting stuff that I found, went into Realtor.com and sampled about 14 different states, from the Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and even as far as out west with California, Arizona, and Idaho. And I basically looked at all of the active listings that are available on the marketplace. And then I looked to see how many of them were pending. Mm-hmm. And I found that no matter the state, we were roughly between 45 to 52% of the active listings were already under contract in every state.
Wow.
With an average of 47%. So that tells you it's across the entire country. And some of the Midwest states, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, these are more rural states.
Yep.
But the activity is still the same. It's pretty crazy.
That's interesting. Yeah. And if you look at Tampa Bay, I'm a student of the stats as well. And I use that when I'm going into a listing appointment. Not only do we do a CMA, comparable market analysis based on the actual community, because all real estate is local, south of Kennedy, north of Kennedy, how it breaks down in Tampa Bay. But then I also look at the county. I look, say, okay, let's look at macro here. Let's look at whole of Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, Pasco County, Polk County, et cetera. And I'll come in and for the last 3 to 6 months or more, it's been consistently about a 1.2 month supply of inventory.
That's correct.
And about an 85% absorption rate.
Yep.
So if you're going off of your stats, though, that you pulled, and thanks for doing that, by the way, I love hearing all these different stats, about 47% of those that are actually already pending. So take that 1.2 month supply and put it at about half of that. You really have, the active market is going to be like what, less than 1 month?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're looking at right now, and that's why it's so competitive out there. And it's so important to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and you're preparing before you're going out and looking at homes.
Yeah.
Because they're moving fast.
And there's some programs I came across this last week and in the past before, but I just kind of brought it to the forefront. But there's these hedge fund type programs that'll come in and they'll piggyback on a lender. And I don't know, maybe we'll talk a little bit more off air about it. But it was a program that was interesting because I got a cash offer on one of my multiple offer lists. Every weekend we're getting multiple offers on different properties as they hit the market. We'll list 4, 5, 6 new properties a week, and then some of them are going to be a little bit higher price point, maybe take a little longer to sell. But the ones are in that 2 to 3, 4, 500,000. A lot of those are getting multiple offers. Yep. But I was surprised because I saw this offer come in well above the ask, and it had a guarantee of an appraisal gap, meaning that if the appraisal comes in less than the contracted sales price, that this company would step in, pay the difference. So there's some interesting niche programs out there now too.
They're trying to solve for the problem, right?
Yes.
And going back to analytics, I mean, when you look at the numbers, we've been underbuilding for several years now since the 2008 economic downturn. We just weren't building enough houses. Meanwhile, we have millennials and Gen X coming up, and they're becoming a house buying age.
Yeah. And
we weren't building enough, and we don't have enough inventory for them. So hence the shortage and crunch now, and prices and price appreciation, and it's tough for people out there. We get it.
Yeah, and unprecedented movement. Red state to blue state to red state migration, all this stuff from the lockdowns and all the craziness going on in some of those other states. But let's take a quick break there. When we come back, Justin T. Kelly in the house, President, CEO, CPF Mortgage. I want to talk a little bit about the investor side. Talk about what are you saying on the investment side, and a little bit more of what differentiates CPF Mortgage from a lot of the rest. Plus, our feel good story of the day: Flags of Honor escorts make stop in Tampa to honor Gold Star family members. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, giving a shout out to Replenish IV Solutions. If you want to feel energized, hydrated, and replenished, reach out to our friends Stephen and Lisa Gunnan over at Replenish IV Solutions. It's in a safe and effective way to restore your body's crucial systems with vitamins, nutrients, enable them to perform at optimal conditions. I go in at least once a month. I just came from the Gandy location and had a vitamin infusion drip, got a oil change, so to speak, and got hooked up. It was good stuff, and a lot of times they'll come to your home too. There's been a couple occasions where I said, hey, I don't feel like driving, so I just have the nursing staff come over to my home, get a vitamin infusion drip. It's hooked up right into your bloodstream, and you're putting all these great vitamins into your body. So I know a lot of people are looking for that now. Reach out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions and let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got a hot property listing here at 14626 Loredon Drive. This is in Seminole, Florida, Pinellas County. Beautiful property here. This is $1 million listing that we've got here in Tampa Bay. And this property is unique because it sits on the end of a peninsula. It's 180-degree views of the intercoastal waterways. You've got a heated pool, tennis court, your own private boat dock. So you've got your boat right there on your home. Beautiful property, updated to the max. Beautiful home, 2 bedrooms, 3 bath, 1,330 square feet. $1 million listing. Check out the beautiful photography, compliments of Fabre Frameworks. 14626 Loredon Drive, number 14 in Seminole. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
All I've got's love for Love City.
All right, we got Justin T. Kelly in the house, President, CEO, CPF Mortgage. And yeah, I just wanted to get a little word. We talk a lot about, residential real estate. We kind of fall into that mindset of owner-occupants. But investors have a lot of opportunity right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a huge, we kind of talked about hedge fund activity earlier. And so you're seeing a lot of hedge funds come out and create some of these non-QM loan products for investors.
So non-qualified mortgage.
Yep, non-qualified mortgage and making it, a available product for investors. If they've got a property, they've got the right credit score, they've got the down payment, and the property will rent for at least the mortgage payment or more.
Yep.
They're doing these loans.
Wow.
And they're making it, giving the opportunity to new entrants into the marketplace that want to try to, purchase an investment property or two, and or seasoned people as well.
Cool. So, yeah, so you look at LTV wise, like loan to value, right? So if somebody's out there saying, hey, I'd love to get into real estate investing, what would that average, given of course an average good, great score, good credit score rather, what's the LTV on that?
Absolutely. So on the type of loan we're discussing here, where they're going off of credit score, they're going to want to see a 720 or above.
Yep.
They're going to want 25% down, and then they're going to want a rent schedule when the appraisal is done, and that rent schedule has to be able to at least cover the mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Hey, that's awesome. So talk a little bit about the industry, because I love to talk about competitive advantages, right?
Yeah.
With Keller Williams, we got a ton of competitive advantages. Your company seems to have those as well. Direct lender that gives mortgage loans based on their internal guidelines requirements. Talk about that versus kind of a mortgage broker.
Yeah, sure. So, demystifying this, it's hard because one of the biggest search terms right now on Google, I think, is mortgage broker. So people, are interested. They want to understand what the difference is. And so, when you're talking about a mortgage lender, you're going directly to a mortgage lender as a consumer applying for a loan, and you've got their rates, their guidelines, their requirements, and there's a box, and you have to fit into that box.
Right.
And so, if you're looking to shop around, have optionality, you're going to have to apply with 3 or 4 mortgage lenders direct, right? And then, it starts becoming cumbersome when you've got to actually review these offers, and you've got to determine what is the best offer for you, because you've got, multiple mortgage lender offers sitting in front of you. So, it can make it tough, especially with, all the disclosure forms that you've got to review to be able to determine what is the best loan option for me. So that defines kind of what a mortgage lender is, or a direct mortgage lender for a consumer. Now, on the flip side of that, a mortgage broker, the mortgage broker typically works with several wholesale mortgage lenders. And so they give optionality, and they take that burden off of a consumer, and they're able to shop multiple wholesale mortgage companies for that borrower. And they're able to help them make a more informed decision. You know what I mean? Because they've got the knowledge, they understand exactly what's in the marketplace, and they understand the terms of what they're looking for, and they can place that loan based on the borrower's needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're able to shop for them, basically, be a one-stop shop, have a convenient, relationship there. And I used to work on the wholesale side, so I was with Argent Mortgage back in the day, and AmeriQuest, the wholesale leg of AmeriQuest, Equifirst.
Sure.
So I've kind of seen the real estate industry from the retail side on lending, the wholesale side. So it's interesting, once you kind of figure it out, and then a lot of the challenges that you have too is when these loans are packaged up and sold on the secondary market. That's where a lot of the problems came in. In 06, 07, a lot of these mortgage-backed securities kind of going belly up. And
100%. And one of the big misconceptions is going through a mortgage broker is hey, am I getting the best rate? Why don't I just go directly through a mortgage lender? And I tell people with mortgage brokers, we're getting wholesale mortgage rates. We're able to go to these wholesale mortgage lenders. We're getting the rate at wholesale. So we're able to pass those savings on. Our cost structure to operate is much lower than a direct mortgage lender. And so, that's a huge competitive advantage for a consumer.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to realize that, when you're going to a mortgage broker, they're shopping the best options for you, but then they're getting that rate wholesale. And I'll give you an example. I mean, let's just say mortgage lender A, a borrower goes directly to their retail department and they apply for a loan. Okay. Now, this same mortgage lender A actually has a wholesale department that works directly with mortgage brokers. That mortgage broker is actually going to get that rate lower than the retail side is many times.
Wow.
And so, they have to compete for that business in the secondary market and things like that. For mortgage brokers especially, they got to compete for their business.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're seeing there, and that's a competitive advantage with a mortgage broker.
Right.
There's one other side to it, which is a correspondent mortgage lender.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a hybrid of both, if you will. The correspondent mortgage lender can choose to work with multiple wholesale mortgage companies, and they're still funding the loan at the end of the day as a lender. So that's a huge competitive advantage. And at CPF Mortgage, we actually operate in the space of as a correspondent mortgage lender, independent mortgage company, and a mortgage broker. So we feel we can offer the absolute best to the consumer, give them optionality and choices in what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Now let's talk about renters. We got a couple minutes left to discuss renters, and I'd like to offer maybe a rent versus own analysis out there to our listening audience. So a lot of people that are paying rent right now, they're thinking, man, it's just too hard to find something. I can't get qualified. What's the down payment? Oh, they probably want 20% down. That's not the case. There's an opportunity out there for a rent versus own analysis. So if you're out there renting, or maybe someone you know or love is, we would love to do a rent versus own analysis for them. And I'll let Justin talk about what that actually looks like and how he can calculate that for you. But if you're paying rent, you're paying your landlord's mortgage. You're not building up equity in your own home. You're not able to throw your cool, fun parties. Or you can maybe get kicked out though. But you got to be careful with what you're doing as far as that goes. But text the word rent to 813-917-1894. Just call or text the hotline 813-917-1894, and just text rent and the amount of rent that you're paying, and then we'll put you in touch with Justin and his team, and they'll be able to put together a rent versus own analysis. So could you take about a minute and tell us what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw something pretty cool the other day online. It said the interest rate on rent is 100%, which is when you think about it, it's kind of accurate, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You're throwing your money away and renting, and there's a time and a place for that, right? You've got to build yourself up financially and build a credit profile and whatnot. But yeah, we simply take a look at, hey, where's price appreciation going in the marketplace? What you're paying for rent right now and where rent might go, and then what the cost today would be to be able to get you into a mortgage. And we analyze that, and we'll let you know the differences. And not only that, but hey, listen, 1, 2, 3 years down the road, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, how much equity are you not building up over 2 to 3 to 5 years?
Absolutely.
How much of tax write-offs you're missing out on, you're losing out on. A lot of options there. So reach out online at cpfloans.com. Justin T. Kelly, President, CEO, CPF Mortgage. cpfloans.com. Thanks, Justin.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Jenny Restrepo in the house, Insured Title Agency, Insured Title in the house. Also, our feel-good story of the day. Flags of Honor escorts make stop in Tampa to honor Gold Star family members. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Ryan.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
That.
All right, Jenny, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alrighty.
I think I can hear me too.
We are ready when you are, Jose.
All right, everyone stand by, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment certified. We're in that division now. Only 1,000 agents worldwide that are in Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. Pretty cool, interesting stuff going on in that group. So really excited about that. Keller Williams Luxury, also the commercial division. So we can help you with vacant land, commercial properties, residential properties. Thanks for all of the listeners who are reaching out, supporting the show and supporting our show partners. Took a couple listings last week from show listeners that just wanted to know accurate value. Give us an accurate value of your property, and came out and sat down, and they loved the presentation. They loved the exposure piece with us featuring our property listings on the show. And by the way, they were looking at a reverse mortgage, and the reverse mortgage value came in like $75,000 less than where I valued it at. And I said, well, that's probably because they're protecting the bank, when these reverse mortgages. So there's different types of appraisals out there too. So if you're thinking about a reverse mortgage appraisal versus a conventional refinance appraisal versus a real estate sales appraisal, they're all going to come in a little bit differently because they have different purposes. And then you also have to think about who ordered the appraisal, right? Who paid for the appraisal. So it was interesting though to see them coming in at super low number, around 300, and I'm valuing it at around 385. I was like, wait, they're off here, and that's probably why, because they're lending money based on that, and it's a reverse mortgage. So anyways, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, and we've got Jenny Restrepo coming up here in just a moment. I want to let you know about a couple of our hot listings that we've got here in Tampa Bay. 14121 7th Street in Dade City. We got a restaurant available for sale in Dade City. This is a great opportunity. Attention entrepreneurs, developers, restaurateurs. This is a great opportunity. You got a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment on site, so you could have on-site management, have your manager right there. 14121 7th Street, Dade City. Restaurant for sale right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. You got a beautiful opportunity here. Furniture and equipment available. Plenty of parking. Downtown established restaurant since 1990. They've been in business. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And a quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the program here, Discovery Golf Cars. It seems like everybody's getting a golf car these days. Lots of fun. I love, taking the dogs out for a ride. Charlie and Carter love to go for a ride on the golf cart. They've got the Easy Go Star EV Cushman. They have new and pre-owned. You can rent or buy. And they also offer financing and mobile repair. Clearwater location. You can say hello to Ethan out there and Marty over at the Tampa location. Golf carts, discoverygolfcars.com, formerly known as Golf Cart Depot. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got Jenny Restrepo back in studio. Hey, Jenny.
Hello, Brandon. Thanks for having me again.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming in. And yeah, so a lot of the questions are about market, the market in general. Yes. And, we can talk title insurance and different parts of it, but you have an economist coming into town and a pretty cool event coming up too.
That is correct. So Justin, that was just on, he said he's a finance and a numbers guy. I'm the opposite of that. I'm like the fun and experiences type of gal. This is going to be an amazing training class. All the time we're talking about what's going on in this market. It's so crazy. Supply and demand. How is it affecting it? And what can we expect in the future? Are you sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens? Ted Jones, PhD, national speaker economist for Stewart Title, who's one of our underwriters, is coming to the Tampa Bay area, and we were lucky enough to book him for an event. So the name of this event is Econ 101, Supply and Demand, and as it relates to real estate, and kind of what to expect in this market and what to expect in the future. So everybody's invited. Come and join us. It's April 26th, held at the auditorium at the Greater Tampa Realtors Building, which is right there on Kennedy across from University of Tampa. We do have a registration link for the event, because there is a limited amount of space. We're already booking lots of reservations for this event. Everyone's excited to kind of learn what's going on in this market. So this is not that long. If you go to insured-title.eventbrite.com, that is our Eventbrite organizer profile. You'll see all of our events that we have coming up. This one is the exciting one that you don't want to miss. So April 26th, 1 p.m., at the Greater Tampa Realtors building in South Tampa, and come and find out, what can I expect from this market? What should I be doing now to be prepared? Is this the time for me to make some moves? I'm excited to hear about this because, like I said, the numbers and the finance is not my area of expertise.
Yeah, well, some of the banks are already predicting a big recession. Big recession coming. How will that play out specifically to real estate? Then you get into residential real estate, industrial real estate, commercial real estate, office. There's so many different niches and categories, subcategories in real estate. But there's definitely a hard recession coming. Look at all the printing of money and the irrational exuberance that have been displayed by politicians and the elites in DC. So that I think there's a big recession coming.
An interesting thing to keep in mind is, because everyone's saying it, does it make it so? Is because they're saying it, then that's what's making it so? I think that all the time on the show we talk about, like, get the information, do the research, make informed decisions. This is a great opportunity to hear it from somebody who specializes in finance, specializes in the economy, and then you can kind of go from there. Something that's interesting that I think gives a little bit of perspective about when the media says, well, interest rates are on the rise. I saw a post, and I know this to be true. Interest rates have never, ever been this low historically on mortgages. In the 80s, they were like 10%, 12%, 15%. And so, the interest rates were a lot higher back then because you could buy a house for $50,000, which is not a thing anymore. But interest rates being at 2% was previously, decades prior, unheard of. Yeah. So we now have a readjusted expectation of what is the normal. Yeah. So when we say it's going up to what, 4%, 4.25%? Historically, over the amount of time that we've been keeping track of these things, that's still considerably low. Yeah. And I think Justin also mentioned, what's the interest rate on your rental payment? Well, 100%. You get nothing out of that. Yeah. So 4%, 4.25%, even 4.5%, it's not as good as it was. Yep. It's still not necessarily that reason to stay renting, because you're guaranteed that none of that money is building towards your future wealth. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we in the past we were at 40-year lows. So what are we now at? 20-year lows. Exactly. So it's back to an adjusted point to where it's still great time to buy, invest, get into the market. I tell you, the best market right now is also for that move up buyer. So let's say it's a young couple, they bought their first home 3 or 4 years ago, and now they're making more money. Maybe they've got a raise, or they got a master's degree or whatever it might be. So they started making a little bit more money, right? So if they sell a home that is priced in that $200,000 to $300,000 price range, there's a huge demand for that price point. Right. And maybe they've done better. They've got more income coming in, law degree, whatever. So now they're looking for a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 home. There's less competition at that $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 home than there is at the $200,000 to $300,000 home. So that's why I say it's a great market right now for those move up buyers, and then also move up in another sense. So move up further on the map, right? So if you go further north. So if you're selling a South Tampa home, maybe an Oldsmar area home, and you're moving up towards Gainesville, Ocala, a little bit more rural area, maybe that Hillsborough or that Pasco, Hernando area just north of that, that's also a different example of a move up buyer, different category of move up. But yeah, for the move up buyers, you could really win right now. If you're going to sell and then move all of your equity into the new place, you might be able to basically have yourself in the same sort of affordability position with twice as much house. Yeah. So something that as a title person I can talk to is, if you are going to be moving within the state, I don't know if you have to stay in the county, but let's say you're selling something in Hillsborough County and you're moving from South Tampa to Plant City. You want more land. You want to be able to expand. You can port your property taxes. So it's called tax portability. You can port your homestead exemption from your existing property to your new property. And the advantages there is you're going to get a bit of a break on what is the now new adjusted property taxes for that higher price point home. Yeah. And I just saw an article that the local news is talking about. Increased sales prices are going to affect property taxes. Yep. And if you consecutively own your home, they can only raise your property taxes by a certain amount. They can't go from
I think it's 3%.
Right. So they can't go 10% in 1 year. But if you move, it's a different story.
Then you're taking it in at that new rate.
Correct. But if you port your homestead exemption from one property to the next, you can actualize some savings even if you're moving up into a higher price point.
Yeah, the portability is huge, and I think it's anywhere within the state because it's based on the Save Our Homes Act, I believe it was called. It's a 3% increase each year. So that's why you'll see a lot of times if I'm selling a property, I'll see, you got a nice couple, they've lived in their home for 20-something years, 30-something years, and then that new buyer, if it's an agent that doesn't know the business, and they say, oh, wow, look, your taxes are only $900 a year. No. That's for the old couple.
Right.
No. That whenever you buy this new one, it's going to be brought up to the current standards of what, for Hillsborough County, it's our friend Bob Henriquez over there says. And if it's in, Pinellas County, it's our friend Mike, forgot his last name over there, but Mike Twitty. So yeah, based on which county, you're looking at, you've got, you're going to have an increase in taxes. So, you got to take that into account. Yes. And a good mortgage broker like Justin would let you know that. And, you'd be able to find out that, here's what my escrow would be, my principal and interest, taxes and insurance, total combined payment would be. So you got to be careful for that. Jenny, let's come back here. We're going to take a quick break. More with Jenny Restrepo on the other side here. Don't forget about her event coming up on April 26th, Econ 101, Economy 101, Insured-Title.eventbrite.com. Ted Jones going to be in town. He's an economist, a PhD. So you might want to check that out. Talk to Jenny and see if she can get you some tickets to that. It's going to be in GTAR, the location on Kennedy Boulevard. Greater Tampa Realtor Association. More with Jenny Restrepo coming up. Plus our feel-good story of the day, Flags of Honor escorts make stop in Tampa to honor Gold Star family members. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the Real Estate Quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. Any of our listeners out there, we'll offer you a 2% listing for the first 3 callers that reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline, 813-917-1894. Also, a great opportunity for folks out there looking for a part-time gig, maybe a side hustle, is Keller Williams Real Estate School, powered by Kaplan. Reach out if you'd like more information on how we have a free real estate school for you, online class, get licensed, and start referring business in, or maybe make a new career. 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com for our syndicated radio and TV show on 80 outlets worldwide, consumerqb.com, or our real estate website at platinummvpteam.kw.com. That's platinummvpteam.kw.com. And please follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, and check out our YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. Make it a great day.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And we'd like to tell you about our hot listings here in Tampa Bay. 4823 Ebbtide Lane, number 405. This is a beautiful penthouse that we have available in Port Richey. It's on the river, the Cody River, that is. gorgeous Gulf of Mexico views overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. 1,100 square feet, 1 bedroom, 2 bath. You could easily be converted back to a 2 bedroom. You got your own very own penthouse suite available here. 270-degree views, live on the Cody River. That's views of the Gulf of Mexico. Brand new flooring, fresh paint, covered parking included, pool, elevator. Next door you have a marina and a huge sun deck out there as well. Beautiful property. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, here's our feel-good story of the day. Janice Chance calls events like these a holy hug from heaven. To have people come out and honor and salute our loved ones means so much to me, she said. Tuesday morning, Chance stood alongside a dozen other Gold Star family members as flags of honor escorts made a stop at Tampa's Franklin Middle Magnet School, led by Air Force veteran David McElroy. Quote, our mission is to have a ride that visits each of the Gold Star family memorial monuments that are installed by the Woody Williams Foundation, end quote, said McElroy. Nationwide, there are 91 of them, and the tour of Florida's monuments began in Pensacola on April 2nd. Along for the ride are full-size American flags that have made the stop at every monument along the way and read off the names of the fallen. Those names, they all have families. They have brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers, said McElroy. Children, cousins, aunts, and uncles. And Chance, whose son Jesse Melton III died in Afghanistan in 2008, said events like these prevent every Gold Star family's worst fear, their loved ones being forgotten. So there you have it, our feel-good story of the day. And we have Jenny Restrepo in the house, Insured Title Agency. And Jenny, a lot of times people, one of the biggest questions we get is, well, who pays the closing cost? But also, the other one is, what is title insurance? Why do we need title insurance?
Okay. That's a great question. Why do you need title insurance? Well, one big difference about title insurance is it is the only insurance that protects you from the past and not the future. What does that actually mean? Well, the reason you want protection from the past is because if somebody comes up from the way back and says, oh, when my uncle sold that house, I actually was part owner of it, and I didn't agree to the sale, and I deserve money, things like this can happen. So title insurance was created to protect owners from anyone coming out of the woodwork from the past claiming some sort of ownership of their property. Well, why did that even come to fruition? There's an amazing story about Abraham Lincoln. Yes, our former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. He grew up in many rural areas of Illinois and of Kentucky, and his father actually became, I don't know if I want to say he's the victim of title theft or title fraud, but he lost the title to their family farm 2 times.
Wow.
And you think, how can that possibly be? How does that happen? Well, back in the day, in the 1800s, everything was handwritten on pieces of paper. And so you think, okay, I'm talking to Brandon, and you're standing on this land. This is my land, and I'll sell it to you. We didn't have the same systems of organization that we have now. Nothing was online or digital. And so I think you had the county recorder's office was actually like a place with a big book that said who owned what. And basically, Abraham Lincoln's father thought that he had purchased the rights to this property, and then he had a deed, and it turns out this deed was fake. Somebody comes from the way back and says, nope, that person should never have sold you this land because it's my land.
Grandpa.
That's where his origin story starts.
Exactly.
He's like, well, my great-granddaddy was doing it, so why can't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, not only did it happen to him 1 time, it happened to him 2 times. So why did Abraham Lincoln grow up to first become an attorney? Because he wanted to be that person that could help protect citizens from becoming victims of unnecessary crimes.
Wow. Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about, but they probably made improvements to that land. Who knows if they had crops in the ground?
Oh, certainly. They had a house on the property. They were farming the land.
Yeah.
And so to basically lose your entire investment and your potential for livelihood was devastating. And Abraham Lincoln didn't grow up in a very wealthy family, and that was obviously a huge burden on their family.
Yeah.
And so now in today's day and age, you think, well, it's all online, it's all digital, everything is checked and double checked, and so this couldn't possibly happen to me now. Yes, it can, because criminals just get more creative
Yeah.
about how they do their crimes.
Well, so Abraham Lincoln, so he became a lawyer because of that. I think that was part of the story too.
That was part of his like origin story of what profession did he want to pursue. And back then, a lawyer was a person who defended the rights of the average citizen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pretty cool story, Abe Lincoln. Back in the day, man. So Jenny Restrepo is in the house, Insured Title Agency, and we get that question a lot about closing costs and things like that. What are some of the other misnomers you get? People just concerned or confused about, title insurance. Who pays the closing cost? Why do I need to have this? Well, why does the buyer have a policy that they buy also, and we buy one?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions are. Well, the title company doesn't really do anything. Well, in fact, we do quite a few things to make sure. The biggest thing in a transfer of property rights is marketable title. What does that mean? Well, that the seller is the actual rightful seller, and that the seller that we're dealing with, whether it's a person, an entity, a trust, 5 different people, that we have researched and confirmed that the people that we are dealing with are the correct people and all of the people. Because that's a big thing. Is it one person that owns this property, 2, 3, 5? It could be 10.
Right.
We make sure that this is the true and rightful seller, and that the seller is conveying or transferring to the buyer all of the rights in the property. So that the buyer is now assuming this property free and clear of any debts, of any issues, of any liens, and that they have received all of the rights. So that's the biggest thing that we do, is we dig in and make sure that everything is correct. Then another big misconception is closing costs and down payment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're using a lender partner, you're going to have a down payment. The down payment is an amount that is negotiated with you and your lender. The closing costs are in addition to that.
Right.
And they are separate. Now, when you have a lender, there's going to be certain required fees that don't necessarily pertain if you have cash. And those are going to be, your lender may require certain money into escrows for property taxes, for homeowners insurance. That's going to be required. That's going to go in your closing costs, but they are required by your lender. And then, of course, we charge a settlement fee. So that's what the title company charges to do the services that I just mentioned. So there's no such thing as no closing costs. Even if you are doing, let's say, a VA loan with $0 down payment.
Right.
There's still going to be money that changes hands.
Yeah.
And an escrow deposit is money that's held in consideration to accompany your offer.
Yep.
Because in the state of Florida, you don't actually have a valid executed contract unless you have it's written.
Yep.
Everyone has signed, and consideration, which is money.
Yeah,
so your
fully
escrow
executed.
deposit could be $1.
Yep.
But it can't be, if it's $0, you don't technically have all of the protections of the terms of the contract.
Yeah, and real quick, too, a quick note to add to that is Doug Levi. He's our insurance partner on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Strategic Insurance. He's been mentioning a lot about these insurance shortfalls, and that comes into escrow when you're talking about that. So a lot of these companies are going out of business or being forced to consolidate. So the cost of insurance in Florida is going up for a lot of people considerably. So if you are escrowing your payment and you're not making an adjustment to amount of the monthly payment that you're paying, you could end up with what they call a escrow shortage at the end of the year. So you've got to be careful about that. Reach out to your insurance provider. Reach out to the show. We'd love to put you in touch with Doug and have him shop it for you. He's a broker. I think he's got 27 different folks that he can reach out to and help you with that. 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline if you'd like to speak to Justin T. Kelly or Jenny Restrepo. 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline. And Jenny, that is about our time for today. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me. And like Brandon said, any questions about anything I ever mentioned, call the hotline. We're happy to explain it. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask.
There you go. I love it. And insured-title.com. They've got their Eventbrite page as well. April 26th, GTAR. Econ 101 if you want to see a economist coming into town. Ted Jones, Stewart Title, going to be in town. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.